What do you think are the biggest mistakes parents make about teaching their kids about sex?
Not talking about it.
Yeah. Okay, folks, $1 million question time. When is the right age and time to talk to your kids about sex?
I feel there's no right age that you start talking about sex. I'm feeling like you talk about sex from the beginning of time. You bring it up when they talk about, Mommy, where did I come from?
I think by the age of 7, you have to be teaching them, because otherwise they're going to learn it elsewhere, and they're going to learn that Mom and Dad, they can't talk about it, and oh, this kid on the playground, they know all this information, and they hear all this information that's often wrong, and then they also learn that we're uncomfortable speaking about it.
What about the actual sex talk?
Well, I know a lot of middle school kids today are talking exclusively about some of the great things about sex, in particular oral, things like that. And so in middle school, I often answer the question, don't offer commentary. The big time sex talks come 7th, 8th, 9th grade, but I think it's very important to really sit down and have a very serious open conversation in terms of what it is, what it's about, because then I think in terms of the adolescence and pre-adolescence, that's when...
more the values base and kind of the emotional stuff that goes into it, as opposed to just the practical, this is how babies are made.
Well, I think I think the practical stuff actually, when your kid, if they are ready for it, and again, going back to what you've met, when your child is ready, and knowing your child is very important.
Well, partly what happens in the school systems is kids get the sex ed classes usually right around middle school, 5th, 6th, 7th grade.
Right.
Which is late.
Which is, for some, late.
Right.
For others, I want to make sure that my values, and so I don't know what's being done in the school system, and I think it's okay. But the intimacy and the acts are very important as far as, can you put on a condom? What do you know about a
That's
no?
right.
No means no, and I want to make sure in this day and age, oral sex is sex.
Right.
Kids, I think, really want to learn this stuff from their parents. I think they want, well, yes and no. I know, hold on. Let me just say this. Certainly, they get very uncomfortable at the thought, but kids do want to have parents that they can ask questions.
I think step-parents really need to let the biological parents lead. I think it's key, even if your spouse, who's the biological parent, if they're not bringing up the discussion with you as a step-parent, you should initiate that conversation. Yeah. And even if your spouse has a god-awful ex who's uninvolved and all that, you still need to include that ex in the conversation. And I think to really, in the best interest of the child, you should work with your spouse and say, okay, we really need to include your ex.
What do you think are the biggest mistakes parents make about teaching their kids about sex?
Not talking about it.
Yeah.
With that said, the other side of that is that there are parents that talk too much about sex to their children or about their own sex lives.
Yeah.
It's on TV, it's on their cell phones, it's on Hulu. The access is right there in their face. 40,000 or 25,000 messages, usually stimulating in terms of what we see on a regular basis. How are you supposed to look? How are you supposed to act? And they're getting hit with that. And if we don't, as parents, step up and find a way to help communicate in such a way, then they're going to learn it somewhere, and often it's going to happen sometimes in an inappropriate way.
I also think it's a good idea for parents to, when a child asks a question, to right away say, well, what do you know about this? Before you start barging in on all your different ideas and we talk too much.
Right. I think this is a fantastic sort of, look at what we can do for parents and helping them be prepared. I think what you guys have really said is start at the beginning, listen to your children. Certainly if you're in a step-parent relationship, have a harmonious relationship to the best of your ability with the spouses and the exes, and let the spouses kind of lead the way. And I think, be truthful with yourself about how early on kids are really getting it, because they get it so early.